Greetings, distinguished speaker, Professor Seiji Kumagai, moderator, Venerable Khenpo Ugi Namgyal, Dashos, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the third session of Shichenkar Virtual Seminar Initiative on Buddhism and Conversation on Contemporary Challenges. The series is organized by the Center for Bhutan and GNH Studies. Building on the past Vajra conferences, the center is hosting an international virtual seminar on new junctures between Buddhism, society, and business. We are delighted to create a platform to expose the viewers to serious research and studies of Buddhism so they see its benefits and get interested, and also to share resources for those wanting to go further. In this series, eminent speakers from the world will share cutting-edge insights on how Buddhist practices are being re-understood and used to improve people's performance in professional settings as well as their spiritual path. So listeners ponder how this might advance GNH across Bhutan. For today's session, I'm delighted to welcome our esteemed moderator, Khenpo Ugi Namgyal. Khenpo completed his Buddhist studies from the Garden Charti Buddhist College. Khenpo has MA in Indian Philosophy and Religion from the Benares Hindu University in Varanasi, India. Khenpo is currently serving as Lector Drungchen at the Central Monastic Body of Bhutan. It is a great pleasure for the CBS team and our esteemed audience to welcome Khenpo Ugi Namgyal. The screen is now yours, Khenpo. Khenpo, unmute Benala.
Thank you, Ula. Kuzu Zampagari to all. First of all, I want to say good afternoon and welcome to our seminar. Title is Life of Zampagari, 1161 to 1211, the founder of Drukpa Kagyu. I especially want to thank to Dr. Karmagura, and I also feel privileged to be a moderator today. This is our third session of Shichen Virtual Seminar Initiative on Buddhism, in a conversation on contemporary challenges organized by Center of Bhutan and GNH Studies. This seminar series will engage with the eminent speakers from the world, from policy and academia, to share their research and works on various aspects of Buddhism. I'm confident that these seminars such as this will greatly expand our understanding of Buddhism. For today's session, I'm truly delighted to meet and see our keynote speaker from Japan, Dr. Seiji Kumagai. I know he has a very lengthy achievement. Still, I will take a few minutes to narrate the achievement that he had. Dr. Seiji Kumagai studied Buddhist philosophy and received his Ph.D. in 2009 from Kyoto University. In 2011, he became an assistant professor of Hakubi Center for the Advanced Research of Kyoto University. In 2012, he became the senior lecturer in Kyoto Women's University and an associate professor on Kokoro Research Center of Kyoto University. Since in 2013, he has been the Uehiro Associate Professor at Kokoro Research Center of Kyoto University. From then until present, since 2017, he has been divisional director at Kokoro Research Center. He has been also invited by the many universities as a guest professor, researcher, such as Numata Visiting Professor at University of Vienna in 2018. His field in research in Buddhist Madhyamaka philosophy in India, Tibet, Bhutan, and also that of the Bon religion. He has also studied the history of Tibet, Bhutanese Buddhism. He published books such as The Two Truths in Bon, Kathmandu, Vajra Publications 2011, and Buddhist Buddhism and the Culture, Kathmandu, Vajra Publication, 2014. The Buddhism Culture and Society in Bhutan, Kathmandu, Vajra Publication, 2018. Also, many academic articles on the philosophy of Indo-Himalayan Buddhism and Bon religion. So I'm very pleased to invite Dr. Seiji Kumagai, that we truly welcome your presence and looking forward to your discourses. And I request Dr. Seiji Kumagai to present your presentation and talk. The floor is yours, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. First of all, I sincerely appreciate Dasho Karumaura and also Kembo Ugen Namger, who kindly invited me for such a very precious seminar. And I also appreciate CBS staff and all of here, Kembos and Dashos and many learned persons here in Bhutan and outside Bhutan. I'm not very qualified to talk about Zampagari in front of such a learned person, but very humbly, today I will introduce about Zampagari's information from academic point of view, not the spiritual one. So first I apologize that I may give some different information according to academic, philology from spiritual tradition. But I think both information has meaning. So maybe we can exchange and we can advance further discussion. Thank you very much. So I start my presentation. Okay. By the way, all of you know that His Majesty the Fourth King of Bhutan declared gross national happiness is more important than gross national product. Everybody knows here. Thus, the concept of GNH emerged in 1970s as a philosophy, and GNH has become concrete policy in 2000. 4 pillars, 9 domains, and 33 indicators, and 124 sub-indicators. And GNH has been indexed and quantified. So first, GNH was just a concept and philosophy, but it became indexed. It has been indexed and quantified. And also the GNH Commission has a power to conduct such policies. And the GNH has become globalized in 2010s. International Day of Happiness was adopted by the United Nations in 2012. And in my country, in Japan, the Happiness League of local governments started in 2013, especially thanks to the leadership of Arakawa City in Tokyo. They created and they arranged and adopted the concept and the system of GNH, Bhutanese GNH, and they created Gross Arakawa Happiness, GAH. Likewise, in political scenes, the GNH became much more globalized. And not only in political situation, happiness has been widely studied in academics, psychology, neuroscience, economics, politics, philosophy, developmental studies, etc. Especially thanks to Dasho Karumaura's leadership, CBS organized many times the GNH International GNH Conference, and they are promoting happiness study. Thus, Bhutan has attracted attention from all over the world. for its unique policies such as GNH. However, we must not forget that such Bhutanese policies are based on Buddhist thought. As you know, Constitution of the Kingdom of Bhutan has very interesting articles. For example, Article 3, Section 1, and Buddhism is the spiritual heritage of Bhutan, which promotes the principles and values of peace, non-violence, compassion, and tolerance. And also Article 9, Section 20. The state shall strive to create conditions that will enable the true and sustainable development of a good and compassionate society rooted in Buddhist ethos and the universal human value. And so Bhutan does not oblige Buddhism as its religious aspect to the people, but they just apply non-religious aspects such as, how can we say, ethical aspect or philosophical aspect to the policies and society. So we just need to understand Bhutanese Buddhism in order to precisely understand Bhutanese culture and the society and also history. But what is the Bhutanese Buddhism? This is a very difficult question. And actually, I had a difficulty how to use this term 7 years ago when we published the book called Bhutanese Buddhism and Its Culture. At the time, we were afraid that some people may say Buddhism in Bhutan is Tibetan Buddhism because, for example, Drukpa, Kagyu, and Nyingma and the Gelug schools are Tibet origin. And there is nothing special in Buddhism in Bhutan. And for example, actually, Central Monastic Body uses the text of Pema Kalpo, Kunken Pema Kalpo. So what is the peculiarity or uniqueness of Bhutanese Buddhism? And I did not have a very good idea at the time. And very confidentially, I consulted with Dasho Karumaura. And he gave me many useful information to define Bhutanese Buddhism. For example, there is a difference. So Dashora explained that there is a difference about the musical tool, religious musical tool between Tibetan Buddhism and Bhutanese Buddhism. And monk robes have some difference like that. So Dashora explained to me the difference between Bhutanese Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism from cultural point of view. And for example, Nyingma, Sakya, and Gelug temples in Bhutan having the statue of Shabdunje are peculiar to Bhutan. And I've never seen, for example, Gelug temple in Tibet having a Shabdunje statue in the main floor, main part of shrine. So, but in Bhutan, even Nyingma temple and Gelug temple put Shabdunje's statue in the main shrine. So all schools in Bhutan are connected via Shabdun. There are also other unique characteristics peculiar to Bhutan. But anyway, we can say that from spiritual point of view, there is a difference between Bhutanese Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah. So maybe could you allow me to use the term Bhutanese Buddhism? But if you know any other difference between the both Buddhism, please let us know. Anyway, and now another question: who is Shabdun and what is Drukpa Kagyu? In order to answer such questions, we need to understand Zampagari, who is the founder of Drukpa Kagyu School. And knowledge about Zampagari, so my knowledge about Zampagari is very limited, but I'm very happy to share my information about Zampagari. So in this seminar, I will talk about the life and the characteristics and some thoughts of Zampagari, who is the founder of Drukpa Kagyu School. The first, introduction of Zampagari, Buddhism in Bhutan. You know that during the first diffusion of Buddhism, several Buddhist temples were built in Bhutan, such as Kichu Lakan and Jampa Lakan, etc. And during the second diffusion of Buddhism in Tempa Chidar, various schools, especially after 13th century, various schools such as Nimma, Kagyu, Sakya, and Geluk schools, as well as Nimma, started to be active in Bhutan. And in 1616, Shapdunje moved from Tibet to Bhutan and unified most parts of Bhutan. Thereafter, Drukpa Kagyu School became a state Buddhist school in Bhutan. The other schools, the Nimma and Drukpa, gradually fell into decline. You may know that Lama Kakunga, the five groups of Lama, attacked Shapdunje when he founded zones, Punaka, such as Punaka zone. And Shapdun defeated them and they declined. And Sakya school was allowed to build their monasteries in Bhutan, but after 1959, that is Tibet rebellion, it declined inside Bhutan. And in order to essentially understand Bhutan and Bhutanese Buddhism, as I said, it is necessary to understand both Nimma and the Kagyu school. And although Nimma has been vastly researched, Drukpa Kagyu school still remains insufficiently researched in academics, not spiritual, in spiritual tradition, and despite having had ruled Bhutan. And as I said, Zampagari is an important figure as the founder of the Kagyu school. So in this seminar, I will very briefly grasp, we shall grasp the outline of the life of Zampagari. And regarding the study of Zampagari, it is necessary to compare different biographies and chronicles, including information of Zampagari in detail, and to comprehensively grasp the characteristics of the biographies and the chronicles, and also his collected works, so that we can multidirectionally understand Zampagari's personality and thoughts. And methodology, regarding methodology, we will focus on Zampagari from the following two perspectives. The one, to map Zampagari in history, especially focusing on previous lives, subsequent reincarnation, and Dharma lineage, especially Kagyu tradition. And two, to clarify the life and the thoughts of Zampagari himself by using biography, chronicles, and his collected works. And regarding collected works of Zampagari, there are three versions of collected works. A Bhutanese collection published by a monastic body, and the Nepalese collection, and the Ladakhi collection. Each collection includes different works, so we need to consolidate the three collections into one volume. And we are now preparing critical editions. And we also need to compare different manuscripts of each work. Yes. And this is a tentative list of categories of the works of Zampagari. I was very surprised that Zampagari wrote many works about philosophy. And you can easily imagine Zampagari's personality or image, and according to his name, Zampagari. So Zampa means he who is from Tsang region in Tibet, in central Tibet. And Gyare is his clan. He's from Gyare clan. And Re is Repa. Repa is like Mirarepa or Rindepa. So Re is cotton. So Repa is yogi, having thin cotton clothes. So according to his name, we can have the image that Zampagari might be yogin-like Milarepa, who stayed in the cave and who concentrated on meditation. And that's true. He wrote many treatises about Mahamudra, meditation, practice, and rituals, spiritual songs. But at the same time, he wrote many philosophical texts, including doxography, Drukpa. That means he was also good at not only Madhyamaka philosophy, but also Jedak Dodepas and Tsangpa and Umapa. So Vaibhashika and Sautrantika and Yogacara and Madhyamika, Umarangipa and Uma Tangirwa, Svatantrika and Prasangika Madhyamika too. So he had vast knowledge about philosophy. Actually, there is a good episode that Zampagari won a debate against his root master Rinlepa. And later I will explain in the detail. But according to the episode, we understand Zampagari was good at Abhidharma philosophy. So he had a knowledge about the Gunzu, especially the tsenyi of technical terms, the definition of technical terms. And so the themes of Zampagari's works are not restricted to meditation, yogic practice, and spiritual songs. He covers a wide range of genres, including philosophy. So we can find that Zampagari is a man of various talent. And now we shall introduce the biography and the collected works. And Zampagari's biographies describe and that he also studies philosophy and engaged in education. So he composed a philosophical text, but we understand he was also a good teacher. So that's why, as I will explain later, finally he had 2,800 disciples. And sometimes we may feel skeptical about the description in a biography. It could be a little bit exaggeration. But if we read his collected works, then the description about Zampagari in his biography are not exaggeration. So truly, he was good at, for example, philosophy, and he was good at education, like that. And I introduce here 7 biographies of Zampagari. The oldest one was composed by Sangebun. Maybe you don't know this person, Sangebun, but he's a very important figure. Zampagari had 6 chief disciples. The first great disciples are Pariwa, Yeshe Gompo, and Kyanmokapa. And the middle great disciples are Gyayakpa and Demoa Sangebun. And the last great disciples, maybe you may know, Lorepa and Gutsampa. Lorepa is the founder of Meduk, so Lower Drukpa Kagyu School. And Gutsampa is the founder of the Tuduk, so Upper Drukpa Kagyu School. And Sangebun met Zampagari after 1201. And while Pariwa met Zampagari in 1193. So just after Zampagari's full ordination, he became fully ordained monk in 1193. So just after his fully ordination, Pariwa met Zampagari. So he was almost the first disciple. And Kyanmokapa met Zampagari at a time between 1193 and 96. That means before the foundation of Rarun Monastery. And Gyayakpa met Zampagari at the time between 1194 and 97. 1 year later than Kyanmokapa. And almost before foundation of Rarun Monastery, or just after its foundation. And Sangebun had a title of Geshe. So he was perhaps Kadampa monk first, and then he became a disciple of Zampagari. He founded the Demoa monastery in Upper Nyantu, and that means in the same area of Zampagari's birthplace. So it's very near from Laru Monastery. And the second oldest biography was composed by Martin. He is also very important figure for Drukpa Kagyu school. And he was not a direct disciple of Zampagari, but a monk who played a key role in especially in the expansion of the Drukpa Kagyu school during the late years of Zampagari. And he is first referred to at a time between 1201 and 1204. That is to say, before the foundation of Druk monastery, founded in 1205. And he was also scholar monk, but at the same time, he was also called Lopon, so Geshe and Lopon. And he's very, very important person that he recruited many novice monks for Drukpa Kagyu school. So in Zampagari's biography, Zampagari really appreciated Geshe Martin because he recruited many novice monks. So thanks to Martin, many young monks came to my place like that. Zampagari really appreciated him. And we can understand that the Martin is a very close person to Gyare clan, Gyare family, and especially to his nephew, Dharma Senge, Sangye Wonre, who is a nephew of Zampagari and the second abbot of Larun Monastery, Drukpa Kagyu school. So he's a successor, direct successor of Zampagari. But I think Martin had a tutorial role for the education of Dharma Senge. So one day, Dharma Senge's chirpo, how can I say, the small hut was destroyed. And then Dharma Senge was really shocked. And Zampagari asked Martin to cheer him up or like that. So according to such a story, we understand that Martin was very close to both Zampagari and Dharma Senge. And he was a very important person, not only as a monk, but also kind of the management. And he expanded the size of Drukpa Kagyu school. And the third oldest biography was composed by Lorepa. And Lorepa was very important person in the history of Drukpa Kagyu school, especially as the founder of Meduk, so Lower Drukpa Kagyu school. He was born in the family belonging to Lonan clan, so he was called Lorepa. That means Yogin Repa belonging to Lonan clan. He first met Zampagari at age 16, but at that time he did not become Zampagari's disciple. And he went to the Kyormorun monastery near Nyetan at age 18 and became a Kadampa monk. But at that time, his family, Lorepa's family, were not happy. And they tried to bring him back to their hometown. So that's why Lorepa ran away from his family, and he came to the place of Zampagari, and he became a disciple soon after that. And Lorepa founded many monasteries such as Chumi Karmo, Uri. And so he was also called Uriwa or Uripa, and Karpo Churun. And he finally moved to Bhutan in central Bhutan and founded the Tarparin monastery and passed away there. So he was also important figure for Bhutan. And now we are preparing a book tentatively called the three oldest biographies of Zampagari, the founder of the Drukpa Kagyu school from CBS, thanks to Dasho Karumaura. So we are now in the final process just before its publication. Dasho Karmara always support our Drukpa Kagyu study. Thank you very much. And there are other biographies, for example, composed by Gertampa Dechendorje and Mangala Badra, and also Kunken Pema Karpo. And there is also anonymous biography, but I think this is older than Kunken Pema Karpo's one, because Pema Karpo's one includes very new information, and an anonymous biography does not includes such information. So I think this one is prior, older than Pema Karpo's one, I think. And now we shall map Zampagari in history. First, we shall focus on lineage of previous lives of Zampagari, and later we shall check the lineage of subsequent reincarnation, and also Dharma lineage from Takpo Kagyu to Drukpa Kagyu school. And first, lineage of previous lives of Zampagari. For example, the Zampagari's biography composed by Martin regarded Zampagari to be the fourth reincarnation in the world. From Naropa, he was first Naropa and Ashedana, Gampa, and finally he was born as a Zampagari. And anonymous biography regards Zampagari as the fifth reincarnation, first Naropa, and the second Ashedana, and anonymous reincarnation, and Devejune, and finally Zampagari. And one of the oldest chronicle called Horon Chujun, a little bit older than Teptel Gompo, regards Zampagari as the fourth reincarnation, Naropa, Shadaka, Devejune, and this time Zampagari. And Kunken Pema Karpo enumerate 9 persons. First, beggar and Amita Buddhikirti. And the third one is Avalokite Shibarake, who is different from Chenresi, and Pundarika, and Sontsen Gampo, and the Naropa. From Naropa, there are only 3 persons: Naropa, Kara Chakrapada, and Daushono, and Zampagari. And Hoduk Chujun regards Naropa and Gampopa to be previous lives of Zampagari, while he did not give the number of reincarnation. So anyway, in the Martin gave 4 persons, and anonymous biography gave 5 persons, and the Horon Chujun 4 persons, and Kunken Pema Karpo 9 persons, and Hoduk Chujun did not give the number, but Naropa and Gampopa and Zampagari. So we can check, and we can attest that all tradition includes Naropa as a pre-incarnation of Zampagari. And some biographies include Gampopa and Ashedana and Devejune. But anyway, all tradition accepted Naropa as pre-incarnation of Zampagari. And now we should check his subsequent reincarnations. So very interestingly, there was no reincarnation just after Zampagari. So around 200 years later, Kunga Penjor, who was the 13th abbot of Rarun Monastery, he was regarded as the second Dukchen, the second reincarnation of Zampagari, and Jamyam Chuki Takpa was the third Dukchen. And the very important figure, Kunken Pema Karpo, was regarded as the fourth reincarnation. And he was very important figure in the history of Tibet. So that's why after his death, there occurred some problems. There were 2 candidates of his Turku, Paksan Wampo and Shapdunje. And finally, Shapdunje moved to Bhutan in order to avoid a conflict with Paksam Wampo's side. And then it split into two traditions, Northern Drukpa Kagyu School and the Southern Drukpa Kagyu School, Chanduk or Puduk and Hoduk, Bhutanese Drukpa. And now current Drukchen is living in Ladakh. And now we shall check the Dharma lineage from Kagyu to Drukpa Kagyu School, and from Marpa to Mirarepa and Takporaje, so Gampopa, and Pakmodpa, Lindepa, and Zampagari. And some modern scholars, or many modern scholars, regard both Lindepa and Zampagari as the co-founders of Drukpa Kagyu School. But I don't agree this idea. And for example, Hodok Chujun, Jekenpo regarded only Zampagari as the founder of the Drukpa Kagyu School, but he did not include Lindepa. And I agree this tradition because there are many reasons. For example, and modern scholars regard, and they think the Darun Monastery was founded in 1180 at Zampagari's age of 20, but at that time Zampagari had not met Lindepa. So the year of 1180 is wrong, and so they did not jointly build the monastery of Darun Monastery. And maybe there was some misunderstanding. So when Zampagari met Lindepa, when he became the disciple of Lindepa, they were building a monastery of Napu Gompa, Napu Monastery. And Zampagari was also asked or ordered to do carpentry to build the Napu Monastery. And so Zampagari also helped to build Napu Monastery, but they didn't build Darun Monastery together. According to the Dechen Dorje's according to Zampagari's biography, composed by Dechen Dorje, it was Darun Monastery was built in 1196. So modern scholars' explanations that they jointly built the monastery of Darun is contradictory. And there are many other proofs. For example, very unfortunately, Lindepa really appreciated Zampagari. He really appreciated his high ability, and Zampagari really appreciated Lindepa. So they themselves, they were very good master and disciple. But among Lindepa's disciples, Zampagari was too young, and he was not very liked by many of Lindepa's disciples. And for example, Zampagari did caretaker for 3 months. At the time, he was accused by some Lindepa's disciples. And Zampagari was really good at debate, but Lindepa prohibited Zampagari to have a debate with other brother disciples. And when Lindepa passed away, Zampagari did not join in his funeral. So he was in Roda Karchu, and he did meditation. And after finishing his meditation, on the way back to Napu Monastery, he met villagers, lady villagers, and he was asked, "Who are you?" And Zampagari explained, "I'm Zampagari, and who is your teacher?" My teacher is Lindepa. And then the lady explained, "Oh, Lindepa already passed away." And Zampagari was really shocked, and he really regretted that he went to Roda Karchu to meditate. against Rinpoche's wish. Zampagari did not build Rinpoche's Dunten. But while he joined in the ceremony of the completion of Dunten, and he was not abbot of Napu monastery. So there are many proofs that Zampagari was not a successor of Rinpoche Kagyu. So Rinpoche had many disciples, and Zampagari was one of the most intelligent disciple, and he was also good at meditation. But we should separate Rinpoche Kagyu and Drukpa Kagyu. This is my idea. So if you have any another idea, please let me know. Anyway, we shall come back to Zampagari's life. This is Dharma lineage. So Zampagari is the first abbot of Lalun Monastery. So not Rinpoche, and Dharma Senge is his nephew. And Gelwangje Kunga Penjur is the 13th abbot, and he is the second Drukchen. And Shapdunje and Paksam Wampo were both regarded as the 5th Drukchen. And now we shall briefly focus on Zampagari's life and his characteristics, according to 7 biographies, and also 5 chronicles, 4 chronicles, and 1 Dupta. Tukan Dupta includes many information about Drukpa Kagyu school. And regarding the year and the place of his birthplace and the family, all of the biographies and chronicle give the same, almost the same information. He was born on the morning of the 15th of the first month of summer, Yardarawa, in the year of the snake, that is 1161. And he was born in the village of Gyakran, so that's why he is called Gyare, and in Sarar, in Kure, at the bottom of the Hao Kansan Monastery, in the upper Nyang region, Nyangtu, of the eastern Tsang region, near Gyantse, I think, in central Tibet. Oh, this is Zampagari's birthplace. It's a little bit near from Lalun Monastery. It's in Kure. And his childhood name was Yundumper. It's a Bonpo name. So especially paternal lineage has such non-Buddhist name. His father's name is Gyasrupo Tsape, and he was called Pernak by his family members and fellow villagers. And his paternal grandfather is Gyatarsen, so having the name of Gya, and the grandmother is Tarmagen. So mother's lineage is Buddhist, Dharma, Dharmagen, and his father is Gyasrupo Tsape, and his mother is Marsatarki, or according to another biography, Mar Dharmaki. So the Tibetan loving, or who is pleased with Buddhist Dharma, or like that. He has 6 other brothers. He is the youngest one. The Lanyen, the Labun, and the Kerden. Kerden was Zampagari's tutor, so he brought Zampagari to the place of his teacher, Lopon Bon, and the Jotsur and Gompe and Mansen. So according to his name, Yundumper, so his family is also belonging to Bon tradition, and both Bonpo monk and Buddhist monk raised and educated Zampagari. Especially Lopon Bon educated him for many years, even after becoming an adult. But according to his biography, there is no proof that he learned Bonpo or philosophy or Bonpo doctrine. So Lopon Bon might have been a Bon master, but he educated from Buddhist point of view or general issues. And the biographies and annals state that Zampagari was noble, handsome, and wise child. And he is said to have pleased people by pretending to build temples, teach Dharma, and practice in Bodhisattva conduct. And we found a square rock on which Zampagari sat and gave a teaching to neighborhood children. And when I read his biography, I never believed that there really exists such a rock. And sometimes there is exaggeration, such big rock, or on such a big rock, he gave a teaching like that. It's incredible. But the size of this square rock is very small and this height. So it's very fitting with a 3-year or 4-year boy. So I was very surprised about the size of this square rock. And such noble dispositions and behavior prove that Zampagari was wise and had a right personality to become a monk. So finally, as a Repa, he became fully ordained monk. The biographies and annals give few descriptions about his father, while they refer to many positive episodes of his mother, such as auspicious experiences at the time of his birth and his death. And her death. And this is a ruin of his mother's house. So it does seems that his mother influenced Zampagari and formed his character much more than his father in his childhood. So his mother was regarded as Kandoma, and the mother's mother, his grandmother, was also regarded as Kandoma. And now, regarding his renunciation, the Lama who cut the hair of Zampagari, there are 3 different traditions. For example, Sangebun Martin Lorepa and Kunken Pemakarpo explains, and the Tatampa cut his hair. And Dechen Dorje and Mangarbadra explains, the Lopombon cut his hair. And Horon Chujun explained first Lopombon cut his hair, and thereafter Tatampa cut his hair. So Zampagari was twice cut by Bonpo monk and Buddhist monk, according to Horon Chujun. And the year of renunciation is around 12 years old. And his Dharma name was Sherap Dutsi Korro, its full name. And he was also, some biographies mention his name, Sherappe. This is the hybrid name of his full Dharma name, Sherap Dutsi Korro, and his original name, Yundumper. So Sherappe, Sherap Dutsi Korro and Yundumper. So Sherappe is, I think this is a hybrid name. And Zampagari studied with many scholars and masters Vajrayana Buddhism, such as Tantra, meditation practices, and rituals, while he studied many Sutrayana Buddhist doctrines, such as Pramana, and Madhyamaka, and Paramita. And he also studied Abhidharma. So he actually wrote, we can attest the authenticity of such information to his collected works, because he wrote many texts of both Sutrayana and Vajrayana. And he also studied great perfection, Dzogchen, but we could not attest, we could not find any treatise about great perfection. And he did not write any Bonpo treatise. And Zampagari became Rinpoche's disciple at the time between 1181 and 1183, according to several biographies, when other monks were building a monastery in Napu. So as I said,
That's a lovely.
um, so the year of foundation of Larun Monastery, 1180, is wrong. And Rinpoche appreciated Tsampagari's ability and earnestly educated him. Mm. While Rinpoche had many disciples. And in 1188, Tsampagari was informed that Rinpoche had died when he came back from Kalchu, as I said, Roda Kalchu, after finishing his meditation. And he strongly regretted that he could not be with his masters when he passed away, because he had left for meditation against his master's wishes. So Tsampagari asked many times whether he can go for meditation, but Rinpoche did not allow him and to stay to study with him, because I think Rinpoche knew when he would die. So that's why Rinpoche wanted to concentrate the education to Tsampagari. But Tsampagari wanted to meditate in Tsari and Roda culture. And finally, Rinpoche accepted, or you can go for meditation, but not Tsari. Tsari is far. So Roda culture, you should go Roda culture. And then Zampagari went into, and before his leaving, Rinpoche completed all education. And then finally he accepted, Rinpoche accepted that Zampagari could go for meditation. But finally Rinpoche passed away. So Zampagari really regretted, and he composed a gur for regretting. And after Rinpoche's death, Zampagari concentrated on meditation retreat with his disciple, rather Dharma friends, mainly in Roda culture and Tsari. And he also met important masters of the Kagyu school. So he had a good relationship with other sub-schools of Kagyu tradition. He met the first Karmapa, Tusun Kempa, and received oral instruction about Naro Chuduk, 6 doctrines of Naropa, and also Vajrayana. And he also visited Digun Monastery, and he met Jikten Gompo. And he was also acquainted with Jikten Gompo's 3 chief disciples, New Garchu. And Zampagari became full ordained monk at age 33. So he was very old. So in his spiritual song, in his guru, he wrote about his full ordination. So I became a monk, fully ordained monk at such a aged, old age, or like that. And I think he founded London Monastery after his full ordination. Dechen Dorje and Tepter Gompo explained that he founded London Monastery in 1189, but I think it's a little bit too early, because he became a fully ordained monk in 1193. So it's very rare. It's not impossible, but it's not very standard to construct or build monastery Gompa before full ordination. So I think 1193 or 1904 are more reasonable, as said by Martin or Lorepa or Mangalabhadra. And this is the current Lalun monastery. And Zampagari founded Lalun monastery in 1196 at age 36. And this is a current building. And before cultural revolution, and there is a ruin of Lalun monastery next to the current Lalun monastery, and it's very, very, very big. So we understand the previous Lalun monastery was so big, so huge. And there was also a big stupa. And now they rebuilt the new monastery and new stupa. And when I visited the Lalun monastery in 2017, at that time there were less than 20 monks, while there were around 1,000 of monks before. So I will skip this information. I already explained. So Professor Snell Grove gave the year 1180 for its foundation, Lalun Monastery's foundation. But I was very surprised. In footnote, he did not give any bibliographical evidence. So just he wrote 1180. So I think it's a mistake. And the current Lalun monastery insists in the year 1193, but according to the history paper, they insist 1193, but I asked them about the proof. They said they wrote this history according to Kunken Pema Karpo's Chujun and biography. And Pema Karpo did not give any year. So that's why maybe they speculated the year just after his full ordination, I think. So perhaps this year given by Gertampa de Chendorje is more probable. And the year of foundation of Drukpa Monastery is perhaps 12 or 5. Teptel Gompo give the year of 1193, but I think it's too early. The other, for example, Sangebun and Lorepa gave the same year, 12 or 5. And both are direct, Zampagari is direct disciple. So this year is more probable. And Drukpa Monastery, current abbot is 12th Drukchen. And the monastery was taken by Paksam Wampo after Shabdunje's move to Bhutan. And Zampagari passed away in Drukpa Monastery. So there are many relics in current Drukpa Monastery. For example, dragon's egg also exists here. And regarding the year of Zampagari's death, all tradition give the same year, 1211. And now I briefly introduce the places where Zampagari visited. Here is Lhasa, and the Lalun monastery is here. And so Tsang area and U area is here. So he is from this part near Lalun, but he visited many monasteries. He was very active in the central Tibet, like that. And he visited Lodak Karchu, and he also visited Tsari, and he also visited Loro many times. And so he mainly studied in Tsang area, and he built Lalun monastery. But he also built another headquarters, Drukpa Monastery, Chanchipchorin here, near Nyetang. So that's why he had two different headquarters in his family place, his local place, and also central Tibet. And he had two retreat places, Loda Kalchu and Tsari. And finally, I will explain his disciples. There are three types of classification of Zampagari's disciple. Oldest classification like that. So as I said, there are three different groups. First great disciples and middle great disciples and last great disciples. Tampol Chewa, Bharut Chewa, and Tamal Chewa. And Lorepa is the founder of Lower Drukpa Kagyu, and Tsangpa is the founder of Upper Drukpa Kagyu. And Kunken Pema Karpo adopted this classification, but he classified first four disciples into middle Drukpa Kagyu school. Pariwa, Kyammokapa, and Gyayakpa, and Demo Sangepa are middle Drukpa Kagyu school. And lower Drukpa Kagyu school is Lorepa, and upper Drukpa Kagyu school is Tsangpa. But Barduk, the middle Drukpa Kagyu school is Barduk. But in Horon Chujun, we could not attest the word of Barduk. So I think Kunken Pema Karpo is the first person who used the terminology of Barduk. And Tuken classified. He also adopted this classification, first, middle, last. And he regarded Dharma Senge as the founder of Middle Drukpa Kagyu school. And he did not classify such four disciples into Middle Drukpa Kagyu school. And other classifications. So Tatsak Tsewangels, who composed Horon Chujun, a little bit older Chujun than Teptel Gompo. He stated that among 2,800 great disciples of Zampagari, 13 of them could control their mind and appearances in their mind, and 101 benefited others and sentient beings. And Kunken Pema Karpo gave very useful information about the classification of Zampagari's disciple. He gave the terminology of three yogins, Gaye and Joye and Deye. So Gabo Yeshe and Jobo Yeshe and Dewa Yeshe. And the three cotton cloth yogins, so Repa Sun, Yakre, and Denre, and Lire. And four Shikpo Shi, and like Pajodgon Shikpo. So Reshik and Shanshik, and Shikpo Kunchuk Senge, and Shikpo Kenchok. And Dampasun, so three excellent ones. Dampa Terkumpa, and Dampa Pagoa, and Dampa Kodakpa. Anyway, there are various types of disciples, good disciples, 6 great disciples, and 3 yogins, and 3 repa, and 4 shikpo, and 3 dampa, like that. And in this presentation, I briefly introduced Zampagari and his characteristics. But as I said, based on Western style of philology, so some information are different from spiritual tradition, and we don't need to negate each other because the layers are different. Academic layer and the spiritual layer are different. So if we have a conflicting information, maybe we can judge how to use it according to context, I think. Even in biographies and chronicles, there are common information and also conflicting information. Regarding common information, it has high probability of a historical fact. But in the case of conflicting information, we need to re-examine which information is more probable by examining reasoning and background. And remarkable points of Zampagari's life and thought. It's very interesting. He was raised by both Buddhist monk and Bonpo monks. So he could have the diverse characteristics. He had a diversity because being raised by both Buddhist monk and Bonpo monks. But as a monk, he pursued a Buddhist tradition. He learned Buddhism from both Bonpo and Buddhist monks. And he became a fully ordained monk at age 13. So he was a Repa, cotton cloth yogin. But at the same time, he really appreciated Vinaya. So he's very self-ordained, self-disciplined person. We can find his character as a Repa because he composed many spiritual songs, Gur, and works on meditation. So he had the aspect of yogi. On the other hand, he also composed philosophical works as a scholar monk. So he had the aspect of scholar. And you remember that Sangebun and Martin, they were Geshe Sangebun, Geshe Martin. And they were perhaps Kadampa Geshe, but they became a disciple of Zampagari. So if Zampagari did not have a good profound knowledge, understanding about philosophy, perhaps they may not have become his disciple. But even Kadampa Geshe appreciated Zampagari because he was really good at philosophy and also debate, tseni, the tsuba. And he composed many spiritual songs called gur. And the spiritual songs were composed to educate both lay people and monks and practitioners. So he was a great teacher, but not only for monks, but also lay people, nomads and villagers. So he was loved not only by monks, but also practitioners and also lay people. And so we understand he has various aspects of yogi, monk, scholar, poet, teachers, etc. And as I said, he had 2,800 disciples, monk disciples. But in his funeral, around 100,000 followers joined in his funeral. That means he was very loved by not only by monks, but also by lay peoples, nomads and villagers, because he was very equal for people. He composed many research. He was asked many villagers and nomads to compose spiritual songs, and he gave many gur to villagers, nomads, and the local leaders, and of course monks and meditators. And he had no attachment. He received many donations, gyapok and tompok he received. So he was very, very rich. But just after receiving the donation, he immediately sent it to Napu Monastery. So as I said, very unfortunately, he was not appreciated by, but some disciples of Rinlepa didn't like Zampagari. So Zampagari could not become an abbot of Napu Monastery, but always he financially supported Napu Monastery. Always he sent 100 package of donation, 1,000 package of donation to Napu Monastery. And not only to Napu Monastery, he distributed such donated donation to his disciples and local people. So he has no attachment. He became very, very rich, but he is always tampo. So he's a beggar, tampo Gyare. So he has no property. So that's why he was very appreciated and trusted, and he was very loved. And he has no arrogance. There are many episodes that the Zampagari was treated very low, and sometimes he was kicked out, but he did not complain. Oh, you must get out of here. And he was kicked out, but Zampagari did not complain. And okay, so I go like that. But he did not have any anger, and he has no arrogance. Oh, I'm really good at debating. No, not like that. So always he was very humble. He had a humble attitude. So that's why I think many local people loved him. So he had finally many disciples and followers, I think. And so I think Zampagari had, he was really good at philosophy and Vajrayana and practice, but at the same time, according to his guru, we understand his upadesha, so his real personality, how he explained not only the philosophy, according to the treatise, we understand his high understanding, deep understanding of philosophy or Vajrayana, but according to his spiritual song, we understand his gentle and kind personality, and also his humbleness and equality to all people. Not only here, he appreciated geshes and rinpoches, but he did not differentiate. He always he was kind to nomads and villagers. And in my at the beginning of my presentation, I just I gave information about happiness, and all of you know about happiness, GNH, but Zampagari also referred to happiness. For example, Tseri Deki Dupai Landa Sate Midokyan Dumma Lama Kandoche Chisam Dupe Mireki. So even if I do not equip myself with the necessity of life, so he always sent the donation after receiving it. So he has nothing in order to achieve happiness. So he had nothing, but he could achieve happiness. Deki Dupa in this life. My goal can be achieved by my teachers and the Dakinis teachers. So his root teacher was Lindepa, but he learned a lot of philosophy and Vajrayana doctrines from a lot of teachers. So thanks to Zampagari's teachers and also Dakini. So his mother was Dakini, his grandmother was Dakini. So he was protected by Dakinis. I'm happy to be a person who can achieve whatever I want. That's very good advice to us. So the concept of GNH is very, very important for post-capitalism. So now, very unfortunately, I'm ashamed that the Japanese government is also attaching to capitalism only money. Money is more important than other things. But Zampagari insists importance of spirituality, and according to his attitude, we can learn how to live in such advanced and economic, I can say economically and technologically advanced world. And so thank you very much. I finish my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
Can you hear me? Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope many of our audience have been enjoying your amazing presentations. I can see many international audience and also the high bureaucrats from Bhutan. There's a cabinet secretary, there's a GNH director, there's Rasho Karmamura and our opposition leader. It's very interested here to listen your presentation. I'm also inspired by really by listening about your presentations and observations, and I'm really happy to how you started from the lineage, which is the vision of our His Majesty Fourth King, and also where the doctors or Dasho Karmamura, who have been worked so a lot in GNH, from there to Zampagari's achievement and attainment. It's wonderful things. I was interested by many of your insights. Would have mentioned just few so that we make sure to fasten them in our memories. And before I ask question, I would like to give this very precious time to the audience to ask questions and to brighten more from your answer. I hope anybody wants to ask questions, please raise your thing, and then we allow you to ask questions to Dr. Kumagai. Yes, I give the platform to the audience.
Any question is welcome, or objection, or if you could criticize and modify information, I'm very, very happy.
I think number one has raised his hand, so if you could unmute your mic and ask question.
Or if you would like to write question in chat.
Doctor, that means that if our audience need to have time to think to ask a question. Meanwhile, I just want to, I'm really curious actually, from being a Bhutan, where this country is been blessed by Guru Rinpoche and especially Shabdung Namge, when you emphasize more on the Makarpo, starting from the Tsangpa, you also have been saying that Shabdung Namge is a fifth great Drukpas from the thing, from the Tsangpa, and yes. I want to emphasize more on the Shabdung Namge, who is being in the lineage of the lineage and emancipation, especially to the Tsangpa and Kyungbe Makarpo.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I really appreciate former Tsukura Ropon. He gave me the collected works, the volume of collected works of Zampagari just after publication. Then, so I felt really good tender with all of you and Drukpa people and also Bhutanese people. Yeah.
Any participants, observer,
yes, shy.
your views or ask questions? No one? Anyway, Doctor, as Tasho Karmura is present in our presentation and in our this virtual conversation, we know that we know that we need a drop of golden, observations, and from the Tasho Karmura, I would like Tasho Karmura's some of the few words which could enlighten all of us too.
It's a very meaningful afternoon for all of us to listen to the highly condensed part of Professor Seiji Kumagai's devotion to philology of our great masters. So we need to feel that we are very fortunate this afternoon to listen to him. He has spent many years now going through these multiple documents. Just to start, may I request Professor Seiji to give us any information he can recollect just now about Dharma Singye, Phaju Dugom, Gewa Lorepa, and their close associate in relation to Bhutan. If you could just say something on these people who are related to, of course, Dharma Singye, he didn't come here, but Phaju Dugom Shikpo met Dharma. And also, as you have read Lorepa's works, anything more, we are very limited researchers like ourselves. We just know Lorepa, Tharpaling, and Tang, one temple, but nothing more than that. But you know now, really, you are the world expert on these matters.
No, very small.
So if you could say anything related to this, it will make thoughts about Phajudin, thoughts about Tango, thoughts about Tharpaling, little more historically deepened. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks to Dashora, I'm very, very happy to have studied Zampagari and Drukpa Kagyu school, and also Bhutan. And I was 10 years ago, I was very, very, how can I say, I didn't have any knowledge about Bhutan and Drukpa Kagyu and who is Zampagari. That's so, but Dasho strongly supported my research, and thanks to Dashora, I could study Drukpa Kagyu, and I'm very happy if I could contribute to Bhutan and Drukpa even a little bit, and I'm very, very happy. Thank you so much. And Zampagari's attitude is very useful to, as I said, how to live post capitalism. So we are, as I said, in Japan, always money is important. But if we pursue the money, and if we produce only thing, if we attach to materials, we cannot survive on the earth. So we need to shift our idea. In order to do that, Zampagari's attitude, we cannot become Zampagari himself, but we can learn something from his attitude and his thought. I'm sorry to disturb someone's question.
Thank you, Doctor. Again, I want to give a platform to the audience. If you have ask question, then if you don't have, I will wrap up with one last, not even a question, it's just sharing the prophecy given by the Kyungibya Makapo, where it says the engaging Gyawa Kyungyu Tubeshi Majin Gyawa Namki Junghua Tate Joba Tada Ermepe Chegi Gyaboni Shebu Chi Gebe Shabe Tenjurchis This is a prophecy and also prayers which even try to prophesize the existence of such the great masters after the King Pamakapo. So as we in Bhutan, for this very common and it is very we are fortunate to have the true Zampagari in the form of King Pamakapo, then in the form of Chapranga Onamge in Bhutan. And also, I'm very happy to you say that Japan being like very capitalist and materialistic. It's not only Japan, but many of the countries being that. And it's good that you are trying to input the philosophy of GNH, which could really bring the happiness to not only the country, but also the people and all around. When the powerful country try to adopt such a GNH philosophy, which may come from a small country like Bhutan, but the component itself is very beneficial to enlighten the people. That is the real idea background of the GNH. So I again want to thank to Dr. Seiji Kumagai. Very grateful to you. I know that we'll meet again and we'll work together.
Yes.
And
thank you very much.
Emphasize more on the research on Bhutan, the great masters in Bhutan. And it was a very informative presentation. I would like to offer, before I go, the vote of thanks to Dr. Seiji. And as I said earlier, that your teaching, your presentation, your observations on research was wonderful. And there is you don't need to have witness. There is a Dasho Karmamura who have been witnessing your presentation. Itself is very presentable and beneficial to many things. I would like to thank again to all the audience, and on the behalf of the Central Monastic Buddhist Studies and GNH, I'd like to thank again as on a very successful virtual conference on Zampagari. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Dr. Seiji, now you can, if you want, you can leave for your next appointment or next afternoon.
Sorry, thank you very much. Please have a nice afternoon. Yeah. See you again. Goodbye. Thank you.